the entire document in database modules that would allow for that to be possible, and to make the system robust enough to disseminate information flow among systems constituents, and hopefully with that process, increase accuracy, information security. Anyways, that's the whole doctor where he writes in his report. He chose this approach to assess this level. At your level, try to break it down to the how part. How, try to tell us exactly how you're gonna achieve some of these things. Like the way he pointed over here, he's gonna develop something. So the development is what is gonna help with a number of these things here, or it's gonna help address the ensuring of advanced technology and security, making sure the software increases the level of integrity, as well as enable dissemination and information among system constituents, and also finally to increase accuracy. So once he has this developed, then all of this will literally automatically fall in place. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. So the same thing, you have the significant study, scope of study, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now literature review. He goes about this, another approach you guys can also go with. You can start with a history, in literature, just history definitions about biometric systems. And I think that's what he talks about. So about there are typos in his document as well. Anyways, okay, so about the 1960s typo. Computers were mainly used as an efficient medium of calculation. With development and sophistication, it found its way in much application in different areas of human activity, such as sciences, timekeeping, medicine, identification, defense, access controls, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to scan through his stuff. So I see a number of concepts, illustrations, and definitions on biometric systems. So this is a concept of management information system, and as well as decision support system. So he's just basically giving some literatures, from some theoretical literatures on biometric systems generally. That's what I can gather from what is written over here. The emergence of two or new computers and other electronic devices and interpersonal communication called office automation. An application of computer in aspects of reasoning called artificial intelligence, or AI, with expert system as its object or its subject. And the purpose of this session is to examine the views of various experts, so literatures. Examine the views of various experts on computer and computing as it relates to biometric authentication system. So like I said, this is all just pure theoretical concepts. It's good to also do that in your report. This also helps you capture a lot more pages, so you can also go with that approach. Give some good theoretical background to your project title. Okay, so you can add a little bit more pages or content to your write-ups. But like I said, what I'm interested more is in the key problem statement that he pointed out. And I'm guessing this starts from, they're probably starting from somewhere around here, I'm guessing. Okay, there we go. So fingerprint recognition. So fingerprint recognition as a way of authentication. Good one. Patterns. Okay, so these are still the various features that biometric has. So these are still in theoretical views. Okay, so let's get them go down. So you have your fingerprint sensors, your miniature features, fingerprint recognition, opticals, ultrasonics, and various classifications of fingerprints. Yeah, well, it's a lot more of the theoretical concept that relates to biometric systems. We've still not got into how he started breaking down this problem statements yet. Let's keep going now. Okay, so now here we go. Access control. There you go. If you notice in his problem statement, he captured access control as one of the issues. So from up to this point over here, so this point over here was purely about literatures that relates to or theoretical concepts that relates to his topic, which is good, which is a good thing. So that's how you guys are supposed to be going about it as well. Talk about some of these things. Okay, try to give us some literature, some theoretical background behind your topic. It really do add a lot of weight to your chapter 2, the literature review. Okay, and then once you're done with all the theoretical concepts, you know, the jargons of how your topic, you know, came about, or it's formed or formulated from expert ideas or from expert point of views and what have you, then you start talking about your core problem statement. So one is access control. Let's go back to them so I can bring it back to you guys again. So look at it. Access control. So we had access. That's one of them. Access. Protection. So let's go down again. So let me see. Access control. Just going to look for the subheadings to see them, so I can capture them. Recognition errors, compromised biometric data, vulnerability points within biometric systems, attacks. Oh, great. So he's captured them, exactly. So he's captured his problem statements, you know? So you see, he captured them and talked about them from access in one paragraph. So he elaborates more about the access. That's his elaboration over here. The whole paragraph, a lengthy paragraph, talking about access control that he pointed out in his problem statement. And then the other one was recognition errors. So there were errors that he pointed out also. Let me see, errors. Let me see. Let me see. Errors. So that could come from, yes, loss of information from important files, as well as confidentiality, protecting confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. Okay, so that also falls under errors. So recognition errors. Okay. So this addresses a lot about the confidentiality issues that relates to integrity of information being transmitted when the informations are now when there's poor recognition. Obviously, it's going to lead to integrity issues. Yeah. So exactly, he's capturing his problem statements very, very well. He's basically writing about them, elaborating more about them. The other one was compromise biometric data. Okay, so that's the breach part. So that's the breach part. There you go. Breach of security could lead to loss of what? Organization stand. So that's where this stems from. Compromise biometric data. A nice subheading for it. And he writes a whole paragraph on that, elaborating on that part. Vulnerability point of biometric systems. The same thing. I think it also falls under the breach part of the problem statement. Okay. And he goes on and attacks. There you go. Attacks. You know, some of the attacks that you do face when you do have issues like protecting confidentiality, you know, or when you do have when you do have breaches, or when you don't have the right protection to confidential information within your organization to help with information flow protection. So obviously he has really done a good job capturing his problem statements very well within his chapter 2. And like I said, that's what we're supposed to be seeing in your reports. Your chapter 2 has to have a heavy weight on your problem statement. And I'm guessing some of his objectives are also part of what he also captured within the so objectives. Talks about finding fail points or pitfalls um, that could lead to security issues within devices and problems with password or PIN or passwordings. So exactly, yeah. And so the objective to design the software designed to increase level of data integrity. So you see that? Exactly. So all of the stuff that you see that he's captured in his chapter 2 from even the theoretical write-up all the way through the key problem statement like access control, compromise, biometric data, recognition errors, and what have you, are all stemming from what? The problem statement as well as the objectives that is captured. So that's why I keep saying your chapter 2 is supposed to comprise of all the key elaborations or key in-depth descriptions of your problem statement as well as what? The objectives. Okay? So once he's got that captured, now he's basically his report is really well structured. It's within the scope that he wants to cover. He's not going overboard. He's still limiting it to within what he wants to do, within his problem statements as well as his objectives. Are we good? So guys, that's what I want to be seeing from your reports. Okay. So this is just an example. There are a whole bunch of other examples you can go through. I'm just going through this for illustration purposes. Yep. So you can go by Google some other informations, download them, look at them, go through them, and see how they also go about their report in terms of how they talk about or they go further into their problem statements and an objectives in their chapter 2 or their literary reviews. Okay, so you guys can also follow suit. Are we good? So this is what I'm expecting. This is what we're expecting at academic level. These are the things that they are looking out for. Okay, guys. Within this, I don't see a number of references. Obviously, this guy feels is a doctor. So, okay, so if he's captured some of the references within the theoretical concepts. Like I see one over here. Can I see any other? Some literatures over here as well. Some literatures over here as well. So there's a reference over here. Anyway, this guy said, he says a doctor, right? So you have to look at it from a different angle. This is a doctor of who happens to be a lecturer, obviously, in the Department of Computer Science at Imo State University. Okay, in Owerri. Is it Owerri? Owerri or whatever it is. I think that's is that a state or it's a city? Anyways, you get the idea, right? So not every information that you get through Google might be very authentic. So keep that in mind. You're supposed to go through a number of documents and then try to synthesize them, pull little from each other to and then put them back together to form a much more coherent and much more concrete point to incorporate within your report. If you just go through this guy's work and use that as your reference point, you might not be considered a highly intellectual or highly, or your report might not be considered highly authoritative enough, because even this guy's work might not be even that highly regarded. It's just a starting point. Okay? There are a lot more other much more authoritative authors that have gone through some of these similar topics. Okay, that you can also pull some points from. Like I said, you can't just stick with just one. Just go back again, do on Google, find more reference or more documents, and then go through them, use them as well. Do not, like I said, once again, do not copy what this guy is writing. Otherwise, it'll be considered what? Plagiarized. You can pick an idea from him and then reference him. You can say Dr. Blah, 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 his name over here. Put a point across that relates to something like the patents. You know that he doesn't have any reference of it. So you can, if you code this, if you pick an idea from here, and the patents, which are some of the theoretical concepts and biometric systems, then you have to reference him now, because that's his work. Okay, so whatever idea you get from this, make sure you reference him, so it doesn't make, so it's not considered as plagiarized document. It's somebody's work, and don't copy exactly word for word. Just rephrase this in your own English. But let the idea or the point is the key point within this and the patterns, showcase. Okay, so just put them in your own words and then say this idea came from Dr. So and so. What year he published his documentation or whatever. Make sure you follow the Harvard reference and style, anyways. Okay, so yeah, this is an example, a typical example. Then he moves on to chapter 3, which is your methodologies, blah blah blah. So you can get an idea, And then chapter 4, and then chapter 5, the conclusion, the references, the reference pages. Anyways, now for those of you that try to use this website, pure website for your references, it's terrible. Now the reason why websites are not very, very ideal for your literature reviews is because most content on just a web page do not carry author's name. If you were to go to a website, like let's say for instance, you use Wikipedia. Oh, sorry, Wikipedia. What am I talking? Wikipedia.org. And you were to search for biometric theories. So a whole bunch of stuff, you can click on one of them and see biometric theories. So I see facial recognition system. So let's click on that. Now, if you were to copy some of these information over here as your literature into your literature review, you will notice that within this, it don't tell you who wrote this entire document. If you go all the way down, you don't see an author. So that's why it's always difficult using some of these websites information, or even this is essentially like an encyclopedia. But assuming you went to just a regular website, let me see. So let me type this biometric again. biometric access control systems, and you came across a website like this. You click on it. Oh, what's going on here? Let me go back. Don't give me something that I want to work with. Door security, control systems, everything you need to know. So let's go to this one. Okay, so if you were to copy something from this website over here, if you go through this, you know that you cannot find an author. So when it comes to the in-text reference, then you're going to suffer because you can't find whoever wrote this document or the author to this whole information over here. You can't, it's not over here, it's not stated. See, there's nothing. And there's no year of publication either. So it becomes difficult. That's one of the reasons why they say do not use websites, because you can't find the authors, the references. You can't get them easily. Always use the this approach that we went through. Where is it? Yeah, this approach instead. So you search for the information, get a PDF, and then you can get a document to read about that has got actual good references with reference pages that you can even pick from. So guys, disease from this. Don't copy stuff from here and then put them in your reports. Dump it over there instead, and you say it's your work. Now, when we ask you, so where did you get a source from? And you can't state it because from what you got, there's no author here. You know, there's no name. The person who wrote this, his name doesn't show up over here. And the year that it was written, it doesn't show up. So that's why it's not advisable to use websites for your literature reviews. Always stick with journals, publications, either textbooks, or other forms of material that have got sources attached with names. So if you notice with this one here, what was it? This one, we actually had the author, Dr. So and so. See, this is the guy that wrote it. And it even tells you when it was published, the year, and the volume. So he published in the International Journal of Scientific Research and Innovative Technology. And that's his reference, his label for the journal, and the volume as well. Okay, so now you get a good reference point if you want to use his some of his wording in your report. And actually code this by this guy. So you just state his last name, first name, initial, and then the title of his report, and the journal it was published in, the journal volume number, and the journal volume numbers, and then the year was publication. Okay, guys. So that's what you need to be doing. Okay. So I hope that helps.